Well, I'll give you the design background on this. Why did I originally do it this way? It was the two-name thing was something that I was really passionate about. Traditionally, on online systems, you have some form of unique namespace. Typically, most commonly, that's historically been, like your email address or a unique single name, like, Philip1234. And I hated that. I'm a big believer in kind of matching software and systems to the way the brain works. I'm really, really interested in the brain. It's one of my personal passions, and I was struck by the fact that, combinations of first and last name, or a couple of names basically, which is what most of the world uses as a form of unique identity, or at least locally unique identity, is really compelling. We can remember and we enjoy two-part names. So basically, long story short, we built that at the launch. We used this two-name concept where essentially, your first name space your last name taken together is a globally unique name. So, there's only one Philip Linden. Now, the problem with that is that the way we did it was we initially built a database of last names because we just didn't know how to handle. We hadn't built any kind of a system for the sort of maybe almost name squatting that would happen, right? If you could just create any first name, last name combination, and if you could create a free account, you had this interesting problem that, people would sort of put the whole, dictionary of possible names, and of course all the interesting ones, like famous people, in immediately. So just as a way of avoiding that, we just generated this initial list of names, and one of the cool things we did at the very beginning was we would only let a last name, and there's probably people here I'm looking around who are how should I say inheritance of this policy. We did this thing where we would only let a name be used about 150 times, which is the sort of famous Dunbar number, meaning the size of the sort of maximal human community. And so we were delighted with that because people would run into each other in the early days of Second Life, and you'd have the last name Omega, and you'd run into another Omega, and it would just be very familial, even though you didn't share any, I guess, explicit connection with this person. You're not really in their family. You are in their family when you run into them that way, and it's kind of an interesting experiment in how the brain works. However, having said that, I don't want to be too diffuse. We definitely need to do a couple things. One is we need to give people the general ability to create arbitrary first name, last name combinations in Second Life. Probably in some manner where you can register any name you want. If you want to create a globally unique name that's a first name, last name identifier, and it's not already in the system, we need to give people an ability to register names that way. However, I think we need to do even more. Obviously, the real world, the real, say, working business world has a heck of a lot of John Smiths in it, and so people need an ability to tag themselves with a display name, if you will, which can identify them, say, in a business context, even if that name is not globally unique in Second Life. And we're going to build that as well. It's one of the projects that we've been talking about, and we totally understand that people need us to do that. And the fact that we haven't already set that up is merely a matter of us trying to prioritize and go as quickly as we can. But I do think that's an important project, and I do think it's something that we'll do relatively soon. I think the best way to do it is to allow people to have a globally unique name if they like. I suppose if you wanted that name to be your email address, it could be, although I find Philip Linden to be a very cool way to do it as well. But also to have the ability to, turn on, ideally maybe when you want it, when you're in the right kind of meeting or whatever, a thing over your head that says this is actually Philip Rosedale, and maybe even some sort of a verification system or something if you want to use it that says, yes, and in fact, this is the Philip Rosedale that works in San Francisco and is the founder of Linden Lab. I think that's the right design direction for names, and we definitely need to do it in response to Tish's question. There's no doubt that we need to build, and we will build that system. And again, the naming, object permissions, SIMs, all of the systems in Second Life, we're trying to just adapt and fix as best we can for the different applications people have on it. And business nowadays is definitely one of those applications. So we've got to treat it just like anything else.